Hello, my name is Terry Holmes, and I'm the new superintendent of schools for the town of Wakefield. One of the very first things that I undertook as the new superintendent was to determine the needs of the community. And early on in that process, it was determined that we needed to look extensively at school facilities. So our mission in this particular video is to give you a sense of the schools as they exist today in this community. In November, at a special town meeting, the voters approved a sum of $120,000 to begin the development of an educational plan and a school facilities plan so that we could better give information to our voters in terms of making critical decisions in the year ahead as to where we will go with facilities in our future. The West Ward School is the oldest school in the community and certainly one of the most loved schools, as I have determined in dealing with people in this community in the first year of my superintendency. Housed 2 kindergarten classrooms. The school was closed in September of 1994 due to a ceiling failure. And we will ask the community at a town meeting in May to appropriate funds to bring the building back up to a standard which will make it useful for public occupancy. We're now in front of the Doyle School. The Doyle School was built in 1961 and today houses 106 students. There are only 6 classrooms here, but this school is in very good shape. We have the advantage here of 7.7 acres of land.
The Doyle is a wonderful school. It's a new facility by Wakefield standards. It was built in the early 1960s. I guess the only difficulty I see at the Doyle School is its size and the fact that when it was built, I think they had that 60 modality to it, the split level modality, in the sense that it has multiple levels with 2 or 3 technology and that type of thing. Equipment has to be moved. An awful lot more convenient.
We're now in front of the Franklin School. Franklin School was built in 1902 and therefore is one of the older elementary schools in our community. The school is in generally poor shape and would cost significant money to do renovations. The multi-story nature of the building will make it extremely difficult and expensive to do any work. There's also a significant limitation here in terms of the site, only 3 acres in which to work. So this school certainly would require a significant financial resource.
I look at the Franklin School as a wonderful old facility, and I look at it exactly that, as an old facility. With the modern standards of education today, it's a difficult school for teachers to work in. We're not really equipped electronically for that type of for those types of programs that would run. Most of you know one computer would easily use up both of those outlets. And in our 4th grade, for example, we have 3 computers in one classroom and 2 in another classroom. And what we're doing is using a lot of power strips and that type of thing. So electricity is a real need at this school. Our heating system is for the heat to get circulated in the building, and oftentimes on very cold days we start the day in sweaters, and eventually as the heat comes up the kids get to take their sweaters off. And we've had a number of heating problems. We've had the heating system actually break down just this past year.
We're now at the Ewell School. This school was built in 1966 and certainly can well fit into the future needs of schooling in Wakefield. It houses approximately 110 students.
Many of the needs at the Ewell School in looking towards educating children for the 21st century are similar to Greenwood. One situation that is fairly unique to Ewell is the very tight parking facility at the Ewell School. And often there are cars on both sides of the street, so parking is an area that we will need to address in the future. Also, it would be desirable in this building to have a centralized media facility that could house computers and be an area where children could work as classes and also independently or within a small group. Lack of communication within the building is also an issue at Ewell with no intercom system available. Conferencing areas similar to Greenwood is another area of need. Need for a separate gymnasium and cafeteria, parent volunteer resource center, handicap accessibility is something that we also will need to address at Ewell. Currently at Ewell we do not have separate art and music facilities, so art and music education is done in the classroom, and it would be desirable to have separate facilities for these two areas. Preferably a grassy area where they can get out at recess and lunchtime and be able to move around. And also some areas that would create some flexibility for teachers in terms of the groups that they work with. The Ewell School was built in 1966, so it's approximately 30 years old. Obviously it is a more modern building than the Greenwood, but there are still some things that we would need to look at to get it ready for the next.
We're now in the Greenwood section of Wakefield at the Greenwood School, a school that was built in 1897, making it nearly 100 years old. Good shape today. The major limitations on this site in terms of future needs are the fact that it's only 3.5 acres. The state now recommends at least 10 acres for an elementary school site. Additionally, being a multi-story building, there are severe limitations in terms of handicap accessibility and other kinds of needs that we have as we project into the year 2000.
Concerns that we have here at Greenwood is a lack of a grassy play area for children. Our parking lot doubles as our playground. We currently are unable to communicate between the classrooms and centralized media facility, again looking at the needs of children in the 21st century. For teachers to have areas where they could bring classes together to work cooperatively on activities and projects. Our rooms here at Greenwood are currently spacious, and we do have ample space for all of the classes, but it would be desirable to have areas where people could work collaboratively. Also, looking at the changing needs of our children, it also would be very desirable to have the building be handicap accessible. We are seeing children come in who have different needs, and to be able to accommodate their needs in the classroom, it's advantageous to be able to get them to all of the areas of the building.
Good morning. This morning we're at the Wakefield High School in Wakefield, Massachusetts. This school was built in 1960 to house a junior high population of 7th and 8th grade students. In 1974, there was major addition and renovation to redesign this to meet the high school 9 through 12 needs. Today we find we're serving 940 students. The school is structurally strong. Get every sense that it will serve us very well in the years ahead. Certainly with minor renovations to some of the mechanical systems, this school will serve us very well into the year 2000 and beyond.
Good morning. I'm Ron Strumensky, principal of Wakefield High School. Wakefield High School is located at 60 Farm Street and was built originally as a junior high school in 1960. As a result of a fire at the old high school, which is currently at the Galvin Junior High School, a decision was made to enlarge the site of the junior high school here on Farm Street, and in 1972, grades 9 through 12 high school was opened on this site. Currently, in the school year 1994-95, there are 940 students enrolled in the high school. The entire building square footage is 229,340 feet, more than adequate for the current student body and for the immediate needs for the next decade in terms of student population. There are 101 classrooms incorporated in the plant. The building is of steel and masonry construction and is in pretty decent condition, generally speaking. However, the interior one might note in touring Wakefield High School, for example, there is a dirt 20th century. Another area of concern that one within the building, and also of air circulation that appears to be problematic from time to time throughout the various seasons. The lavatory facilities are also in need of some facelifting and some attention in terms of handicapped accessibility. The athletic facilities are used throughout the year and will require some attention in the near future. However, the major need at Wakefield High School as I speak is the need for an auditorium, a need for a place where the student body can come together for co-curricular and curricular activities, for performing arts of various types, for outside speakers, for class meetings, and yes, ultimately for the use of the community. On the plus side, recently as a capital expenditure, a system has been installed. Wakefield High School maintains a wonderful atmosphere for the students of Wakefield, and we welcome you to tour the building. Thank you.
Next we're at the Montrose School. The Montrose School is again one of the oldest schools in the community. It was built in 1918 with a small addition in 1958. It's a multi-story building housing some 14 classrooms and today houses 222 students. It's one of the older buildings and certainly is in reasonably poor condition in terms of the different systems. And when I speak of systems, I mean lighting systems, window systems, roofing systems, heating systems, the kinds of utilities that make a school work.
The classrooms are of adequate size, but at the present time we are lacking in space for such areas as special needs, specialist rooms, art and music rooms. The building is crowded, and we unfortunately do not have the adequate technology to meet the needs of the 21st century.
We're now at the Dolbear School. The Dolbear School was built in 1952 with an addition in 1958, bringing it up to 10 classrooms. Today we house only 125 students here, but next year with the consolidation of the Hurd School into the Dolbear, are looking at approximately 240 students. The school is built on 7.7 acres of land and needs in this community.
There is a handicapped accessible building. It has a very large playground on both sides of the building. We use one part The parking area is small. We are looking at expanding that for incoming staff members next year.
Let's now go to the Galvin Junior High School in the center of the town. In recent years, grade 5 students have been brought into the Atwell complex. Renovations and upgrade to meet the demands of the middle school concept. But I believe that the only limitation on this site would be the site itself in terms of acreage. Again, I see this having a strong part in the future of education in this community. We're now at the Walton School on the west side of Wakefield. The Walton School was first constructed in 1952 with a small addition in 1954. Children, and the school is in generally poor condition from the external. It will be a very difficult site to expand because it only has 2.3 acres of land. So it will be difficult, again, to do much expansion on this site.
The Walton School was built, I believe, in the late 1950s, and it's a neighborhood school in that it's at the end of two cul-de-sacs. The Walton School is that last year 3 modular classrooms had to be added to the school because the school had outgrown the space that was available. We have a multi-purpose room in the Walton School that is used as a cafeteria, it's used as a gym, and it's also used for music and The Walton School doesn't have the potential or the ability at this point of having designated space for something like a library or a reading. Really adequate for the size of the school, even though there is green space and there is equipment out there and a small ball field. When you put all the children out there, you discover how really small that space is.
We're now in front of the Hurd School. The Hurd School was built first in 1897 with a major addition in 1947, bringing it up to 9 classrooms. Again, this is the state will again not participate in any renovation or expansion on this site. A second limitation certainly would be the fact that there's only 1 acre of land here. So I see it very difficult for this school to play an active role in the future education of elementary students in the town of Wakefield.
The Hurd School houses 128 students, K to 4. We have 1 class per grade here, with the exception of grades 2 and 4. Some of the problems that we face at the Hurd School our playground for the children to play except out front. The wiring in the school does not accommodate today's needs for electricity. There's essentially 1 plug per classroom, and we're often challenged at how many uses we can put that plug to good use. A couple of years ago, space had to be created in the basement counselor because those spaces were not readily available in the school. They were carved out of basement space. Our gym is in the basement. It's all concrete, and it has large concrete columns in the center of it to support the ceiling. The echo in there makes it virtually impossible to talk and be heard.
Well, now in 1919 and has in recent years been will not become a significant part of the future educational needs of this community. On the other hand, the site will be very valuable to us. In this end of the community. This concludes our visit of the schools in the town of Wakefield. As we look at the schools, we have to admit that the schools are in significant need of either renovation and/or replacement. My mission today and this evening is not to sell you new schools. My mission is to give you enough information on which to make informed decisions as the voters of this community in terms of what is appropriate to house students for the next 20 to 50 years in this community. I hope this has given you enough information to start you in the process of making an informed judgment. We wish you well and look for your participation in this process.
Hello, my name is Bill Scully, and I am the co-chairman of the School Facility Study Committee. And I'm joined here today with Bob Gisola and John Miller, principal architects at HMFH Architects, Inc., or our consultants in the assessment and design phase of the school facility study. Today you have heard an overview of the school facilities by Terry Holmes, the co-chairman of this committee. In the days and the weeks to come, we are going to attempt to put together additional information to give you more specificity on the assessment of our current school system. We have 13 buildings in our school system, and they're divided into 6 older facilities which were built approximately 100 years ago. Bob, in the assessment of these facilities, what type of information can we expect that you are developing and we can see in the facility videos for the older facilities?
Well, Bill, I visited each of the schools in the town with a team of engineers. We've looked at the structural system, the mechanical system, the plumbing system, the fire protection system, and the electrical system, as well as the state of the general building finishes. These buildings are very old, and most of these systems really have to be replaced.
What general types of information are you developing in accordance with that, Bob?
Well, let's take, for example, the electrical system. Many classrooms have only one electric outlet per wall. This results in extension cords being run across floors and over doorways. Due to its age, the electrical system is operating at its full capacity. The system won't be able to accommodate an increase in technology such as computers in each classroom, overhead projectors, VCRs, or even telephones and communication systems. Just the upgrade in the required building systems, the mechanical system, the ventilation, and fire protection can overload this building.
John, we have 7 newer schools in our system. These schools are built in the 1950s and 1960s, with the exception of the Atwell, which was built as a result of a fire in early 1970. What type of things are you looking for in these new facilities?
Bill, we've done the same assessment on these buildings that we've done on the older buildings. The buildings are 30 to 40 years old, as you said, and many of the systems are in need of repair or replacement. I might add that all the buildings are maintained excellently in terms of cleanliness and keeping the surfaces neat and orderly, but the systems themselves have certain problems. For instance, the heating system has a number of controls which are not working, which need to be replaced. This results in loss of energy and added cost to the town. The windows are, again, the original windows in most cases. They're single glazed, and there's a tremendous amount of energy loss here, so that by addressing just the windows and the heating, there could be a tremendous cost saving to the town. Like the older buildings, the electrical systems are also being taxed. When the buildings were built, we didn't have all the technology that we have today, and technology is increasing at a rather rapid pace. And in order to keep up with the type of equipment, the computers, the printers, and the other AV equipment that's needed in a modern facility, the electrical systems will all have to be expanded. There's a problem with ADA, the American Disabilities Act. None of the buildings fully comply with these regulations, and a great deal of work will have to be done to bring them into compliance. The upgrade of the systems, the compliance with codes and ADA will extend the useful life of these buildings for years to come if the work is done now and not deferred until a later date.
It sounds like we have a wonderful opportunity to gather all of this information and present it to the people of Wakefield. We need to take you into these buildings. We need to show you the walls. We need to show you what's behind those walls. And we need to show you the consequences if we decide not to do anything with what is on that wall and what is beyond that wall. But first and foremost, we must always be prepared to allow our children to go to a safe and academically conducive environment. And whatever solution that we come up with, we must make sure that it's done in the most economically viable way. We have a lot of work cut out for ourselves over the several weeks to come. We need to get this information to the people of Wakefield. We need to inform them. We need to be able to make you, or allow you to make the most viable decision, so we may be able to educate our children in the 21st century in the manner in which they should be educated. Thank you very much.